What's up, world, and welcome back to another episode of the Mike Podcast. I'm your boy Javi, here with my boy D-Lo.
Yo, what's up?
Now let's get into it. First things first, last week we touched on the Kentucky marijuana laws and bills that were going into effect or being presented to the House. Well, this week we have to touch on some not so good news as far as bills being put to the governor's desk. This bill that was sent to the governor's desk last week would restrict funding to medical marijuana ahead of the 2025 program launch. The provision states, and I quote, "No funds shall become available until the Board of Physicians and Advisors find that there is a propensity of peer-reviewed, published research with sufficient evidence as to the efficacy of medical cannabis for the persistent reduction of symptoms of diseases and conditions." So that would cause the $8 million in proposed funding to be withheld. I hope I said efficacy. It's EFFICACY. I'm not sure how it's pronounced.
You got me on that one.
but I think I did it close enough. So I think this is ridiculous. Like, you're gonna hold the funding to medical marijuana when it's already been studied and researched in all these other states. You're gonna hold the funding. I just feel like it's just Kentucky being Kentucky.
Well, yeah, and I mean, we did that. I mean, we did a study on it ourselves, and that's what Bashir did before they even was even introducing a bill.
Yeah, so for them to say, like, we want to restrict the funds until some physicians and some advisors find that there is a good peer review on this medical marijuana helping someone's symptoms or reducing the symptoms. So, like, say that you have seizures and you decide that you want to get medical marijuana to kind of subside those seizures. It has to be a study done showing that medical marijuana reduces your seizures, or reduces how severe your seizures are.
That, and I mean, it can help with that, but it's not going to reduce the symptoms of it or take away the symptoms of it.
But it could, because like you're having seizures, isn't that neuro?
It is.
So, like, if you're smoking marijuana and it's calming your neural activity, then it can reduce you having seizures. If you are someone that has them like constantly, or make you not have so many, or make them not be as severe.
Yeah. I mean, it also, like, they're not looking at the other pictures of it too, like what else it helps. Because there are people that's going through chemo treatments and stuff like that. Like, they don't build an appetite. So what that does is it help you build appetite, so that
it completely gives you an appetite.
Yeah, like they're not looking at it as that aspect. They're looking at it for straightforward. If it's going to help these people or not, it will help them in some aspects, and it won't completely take away some things.
Like, every disease and every illness and every need for the marijuana is different.
Yeah.
So a peer review, just ask people that buy it off the street already, like, how does this help what you have? Like, if there are people that have these diseases, or do a study, put a study out to the people in the streets, and not to physicians and not to advisors. Give it to the people that's actually using the product already on the street. Well, an anonymous, like a census, you know?
I mean, and that's another thing too. Like, this is why we have voting.
Correct.
Like, let us vote for it. Don't take it upon yourself to tear it down,
But I'm also nervous about the voting for it, because, like,
there's a lot there's a lot of people in Kentucky that's for it. A lot more than what people think there is.
I would hope so.
Like, there's, like I said, as an agricultural thing, there's a lot more people for it. As far as like smoking, there's definitely a lot of people for it. Yeah. I mean, there's people that you wouldn't even think that smoke, that be going home and toking up.
Oh, I've heard. I know of some high rollers in the government that have bought off street pharmacists, as we say. I'm not gonna give out no names or no dealers, but I know of some high rollers in the government that are token up. So I'm gonna need y'all to do what y'all need to do to get where we need to get, so this medical marijuana can get where it needs to go. But my big thing is it's a $8 million funding. Like, oh my God, that is a lot of money.
It is, but I mean, what? My thing is, how would those funds be dispensed into this bill?
Like it would be like the funds are solely going towards the industry of medical marijuana. So whether it's them open dispensaries, them getting the cannabis and growing the cannabis, or paying for the cannabis that is being grown by these farmers that they hire to grow it, for the distribution and everything, this is $8 million for all of that.
Yeah.
So it's like, why would you restrict that? Like, when you can already see the need for it. You can already see the need for it when people are yelling for it to be on every poll to vote for. Like, it's very apparent that people here need it.
Yeah.
Like, do you not see how good it's been in other states? So why wouldn't you try it here?
And that's my thing. Like, I mean, you've seen how well that Colorado's done for years.
Facts.
Since they've done it.
Facts.
You know, places like California, who's had medical marijuana, Michigan, all these states, they prosper off of it. And we have like I said in the last episode, we have the rarest opportunity to prosper more than anybody from it.
My biggest thing is, and you're right, we would profit so much from it, not only from the use of it and people getting it here, but also from the growing of it and people in other states wanting what Kentucky's growing.
So when I was growing up, well, I can't really say when I was growing up, but when I was dabbling in it when I was younger, there was a magazine. It was called High Times Magazine. And that I kept up with the Cannabis Cup and everything that they held in Amsterdam. Well, they have it now in the States.
Oh,
you know how? Well, they brought it here, so because Colorado and stuff like that has legalized it, they're allowed to have it here in the States. You know how much money that brings in for people traveling?
So much.
And also, you know who the most Cannabis Cup winners have been?
Who?
Stuff that's been from Kentucky.
Facts. So Kentucky, like, get hip. Realize what y'all are missing out on and bring it in. Quit trying to knock it down because it's inevitable. You're either gonna get on board or people's gonna go over your head and use it anyway. So you might as well just get on board.
Facts.
Like, why fight it? But when we come back, we are gonna dive into another segment. That was just a brief segment to give y'all updates, and we'll keep you updated on that. And the actual laws that are being put in effect and going into effect come 2025. So stay tuned and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Mike Podcast. I'm your boy Hobby here with my boy D-Lo.
Yep.
We're going to call this Beyonce Better Did, because she definitely did. So earlier this week on the 29th of March, Beyonce dropped a 27-song album called Cowboy Carter. Now, on the previous episode, we kind of talked about it a little bit. And our special guest Havoc and Mr. D-Lo had a little back and forth, not really disagreement, but they both had two different perspectives on the album. Now that it has dropped, we're going to go back into it and kind of get our feels and how we predicted, if our predictions were matched or if they were still untouched. And let's get into it. So there were 27 songs on the album. I had several favorites. I had Levi's Jeans that featured Post Malone, Two Most Wanted with Miley Cyrus, Yaya, and Riverdance with Two Eyes. D-Lo, what was your favorite songs?
Mine actually, I had the two same that you did.
Which
on
ones?
The Levi Jeans and the Two Most Wanted.
Okay.
But also one that I did like was Protector.
You know, Protector had her daughter Rummy in it. Yeah.
And then Just for Fun.
Okay, that was another good one. I think that also had another artist.
Yeah, Willie
well.
Jones.
Willie
I think
Jones,
he was an underground country artist, like we was talking about.
Okay, yes, and to mention the country artist, before we go into that, because I got a list of the Black underground country artists that were put in the songs, some of the celebrity country artists that were put in, And of course, we already talked about Remy Carter, who is on Protectors. I wonder if she's gonna get a Grammy for that. Like Blue Ivy got her little Grammy for her feature in the song. I think that's
Probably.
what the tea was.
It wouldn't surprise me.
So the album was completely what I thought it would be, based off of when she said this is not a country album, this is a Beyonce album. I see what she meant when she said that, because it wasn't full-fledged country. There was country songs, and she took samples of country songs, and she even redid Miss Jolene with Dolly Parton.
I honestly say she wouldn't really redid it. Like she kept the essence of it, and she kept a good portion of it, actually.
Yeah, it was just, when I say redid it, she like remixed it a little bit.
Right.
Like she instead
Well,
of
I know there's been some fans that, or some people talking about how they didn't like it because she
please don't come
like,
for my man instead of what Dolly said.
Rewrote it, and it was like, well, I mean, she had to put her flavor onto it. I mean, most songs that are sampled, or most songs that have been redone, has had the artist's touches on it.
Yeah, and I think that when people heard, oh, Jolene's gonna be on the album, they wanted to hear her saying Jolene.
Yeah.
Which in all reality, I'm sure she would have killed that, but we love it so much more that she actually put her own little spice to it.
Yeah.
And Dolly loved it too.
Yeah, and because I mean, you got a lot of, I mean, you even seen the post on Facebook talking about, and I really think that they're just for the clicks on it, but they're sitting there saying that fans are saying it's the greatest country album of all time, and I don't really necessarily see that.
It's not a country album.
Yeah.
Like there was a lot of. So I'm gonna say it like this. I feel like it was a Beyonce album inspired by country music.
That's a good assessment right there, because that's what I would say it was.
Yes. Like there were some songs in there that were very country. Don't get me wrong. There were songs in there that were country songs that she redone to fit her mold as far as the style that she has. But I don't think it was a country album. I think it was a Beyonce album inspired by country music.
Yes. And that's why I actually would have said that if she would have put something out like the songs that I said, as Protector, Levi Jeans, Two Most Wanted, or Just for Fun, or even the ones you said, you know, it probably would have got more traction than Texas Hold'em.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Oh, for sure. Riverdance is by far the jump. Like, it had me ready to go to the club and shake a little.
And I honestly don't know if you've seen it or noticed it, but I think they remastered 16 Carriages.
After you said that, I went back and listened to it. I'm like, okay, it did have a little different flair to it. Like, it didn't sound like. I need to go and compare them side by side, because
I think the one that I listened to, because I think that one came out in 2022. I think that one.
16 Carriages?
Yeah.
No.
At least that's what Spotify said. So don't quote me on that. Was it? Okay. So I was wrong. But no, the version I heard, it almost sounded like it was like an it almost sounded like it was like an acapella type.
It was almost. It almost gave that, but this, like, I did feel like
this one was remastered, and that was pretty good.
It had a lot more flavor to it as far as the beat and the rhythm and everything. Yeah. I did kind of hear that too. So to dive into some artists that were featured, that you were like, if she features some of the underground country artists, or country artists that haven't been noticed in the country music industry that are black, that would be great.
Yeah.
Well, she did not disappoint.
No.
She gave you a list of them. She gave you Tanner Adele. She gave you Brittany Spencer. She gave you Tierra Kennedy. She gave you Raina Roberts, Miss Linda Martell, which I think is from South Carolina, and she's been doing country for decades. And also, she gave you Shabuzi.
And I think Willie Jones is one of them too.
Yeah, Willie Jones is also one of them as well. I forgot to put his name down. But some artists that are known as country artists was Dolly Parton and Willie Nelson. Dolly Parton opened up Jolene, and Willie Nelson was Both of the Smoke Hours.
Yeah, but full Willie Nelson.
Full Willie Nelson, and it was perfect. They were perfectly put. Like, the Smoke Hours were like to transition you from the beginning to the middle, and from the middle to the end. So it was perfect. It was so dope how she placed the Smoke Hours in there. Other artists are Post Malone, who's eclectic. He can do pretty much any
And
industry.
see, that's
music.
where in the last episode, that's why I was thinking of artists that can go within genres.
Yeah.
And he's a perfect example because he has gone rock, rap, R&B,
country. He's
a perfect one that
he's been accepted in all of them.
Yeah.
But Post Malone was on Levi's Jeans, which was so beautiful. But I couldn't help but thinking like, okay, so now they're gonna come for her because she's a 40-something-year-old woman doing a love me sexually type song with Post Malone, who's pretty much half her age.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. I mean,
there is nothing wrong with that because that song was everything. I love that song. Also, another artist is Miley Cyrus, who is on Two Most Wanted, which is some people's favorite song, which I love how they harmonized together and how Beyonce, like their voices were so similar at parts that Beyonce had no choice but to kind of hike her voice up. So it was
same thing with Miley Cyrus.
It was perfect. Yes, it was perfect. It was a perfect blend. Yeah, and then of course Miss Rummy Carter made her debut on Protector, which was a beautiful song. I enjoyed every single song on this album.
There was some songs that I wouldn't say I enjoyed every song on there.
I enjoyed every.
But I'm not gonna diss them.
Yeah, like, there were some that weren't for you. Yeah, there was some that you really enjoyed.
Yeah, and that's the one thing. It's like
there's something for everybody.
Yeah, because it's like Jason Momoa. Like one of his quotes from a show that he just recently dropped on Netflix, which is really good. If y'all haven't checked it out, it's Where I Roam. It's a good episode. It's a good season series to check out.
I'm gonna have to check it out.
But he basically talks about like he doesn't not like a particular genre because every genre has it resonates in the soul.
It does.
So you know what I'm saying. So like he's not particular to one specific music genre, or he's just a music lover.
Yeah.
And I mean that's where I'm at. Like I love music. Like there are some that I'm like, I can do without that. But I mean I do love music. So.
And Beyonce, when she accepted, I forgot what award it was here recently, and she accepted it from Stevie Wonder. She made a statement kind of similar to what you just said about like each genre, it can all resonate to one soul. But she was like, genres are very much like something that shouldn't exist as far as like people being put in the box of being one genre. Like she's like, music should be something that is universal regardless of what genre it is, and you shouldn't confine somebody to just one genre. If they want to dabble in another genre, hear them out. Let them hear it. But what threw me and what gagged me and where I was like, yes, Miss Beyonce, was the fact that this album has been in the books and done for years. Since her CMA performance, and they didn't, in the country music industry, kind of shunned her away from that. Like, well, not really shunned her, but kind of like gave her backlash for that. She started work on this album so long ago. This album was done so long ago. And I also was reading something today. If you listen to Cowboy Carter and then Renaissance, the last song on Cowboy Carter, the last song on Cowboy Carter goes seamlessly at the end into the first song on Renaissance. Because Cowboy Carter was made before Renaissance, but she put Renaissance out before she put Cowboy Carter out.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I think that was smart because the Renaissance drew everyone into her.
Yeah.
And then the fact that everyone went into her on Renaissance, she was able to go straight into Cowboy Carter, and it just be like, what in the hell is going on? This lady has no time to sleep. She does not sleep. She just creates. But she actually made Cowboy Carter, and you can tell that Cowboy Carter transitioned seamlessly into the Renaissance. Yeah. I can't wait for Act 3. There's been like little postings on social media talking about this Japanese. I'm like, bull crap. That lady's not going Japanese.
Yeah, I see your point, but just enjoy the Act 2.
Oh yeah. I'm living for the Act 2, yeah. But I can't wait to see what she's gonna do with Act 3. Yeah. Like, where is it gonna go? Are you gonna do a rock album? Are you gonna come out like Kiss and wow, you know? I'm so curious to see. But until then, we are going to enjoy Act 2.
Yeah, just live for the moment.
Yes.
And then that's the one thing that I was talking about the post where people were talking about the greatest of all time. Like everybody got to stop being worried about what's the greatest of all time. Just enjoy the moment, because when you said the greatest of all time, you're not really disrespecting, but you're putting what came before them
as lower than them.
Yeah.
My thing is, if you're gonna say the greatest of all time, put one of the in front of it.
Yeah.
Because then that would be accurate and that would make more sense than this person is the greatest of all time. When you could say this person put out one of the greatest albums of all time.
Or you can make it as your opinion. In
my opinion, this is the best album in the world of all time. I don't feel that way because I feel like there's so much more to come, and there's so many artists out there that everyone's going to create something that you would say is one of the greatest songs, or this is one of the greatest artists, or this is one of the greatest times in our lives of all time.
It's like in basketball. I will always say that my GOAT, in my opinion, is Jordan.
I don't know you were going to say
and that's no disrespect to anybody else.
Mine is Dennis Rodman.
Don't be starting those, but that will be a debate for a later time.
OJ's my favorite. He's the GOAT. He's the GOAT. Honey, that drive he went on, he's the GOAT.
And he ain't talking about his NFL drive either.
All right, y'all. When we come back, we are going to dive into the NCAA, and not just the men's, but also the women. So stay tuned. Get y'all a cocktail, or get you a Gatorade or a water, or whatever you're drinking on, and come right back. We'll see you in a second. Welcome back, and we are going to go right into the NCAA men and women's with D-Lo. What you got?
Hey, so it was crazy on the tournament.
Oh my gosh.
So the men's, let's dive into the Elite Eight first.
But why do I feel like every episode you like it is crazy?
Because I think that's what I love about college sports is because you never know what's going to happen.
This has been a crazy NCAA from even the SEC start.
It has, and I mean, you had so far. All number ones have made it to the Sweet 16.
Whoa!
So, and that's the first time I've seen that happen in a long time.
None of them have been kicked out yet.
Well,
I'm saying the number one.
Yeah. Well, no, we're getting into that.
Oh.
So, because a couple did get kicked out of the Sweet 16. So, you had number 4 Alabama beating number 1 North Carolina in the Sweet 16.
No, not North Carolina.
So, yeah, and then
we were rooting for you.
And then, unfortunately, Duke beat number 1 Houston.
Whoa.
So,
hold on, because I'm not real big on like the actual teams. The Houston Rockets.
No, that's NBA.
So look, you can tell that I'm not a big basketball person.
Which, I mean, speaking of the NBA, I do have to drop this little nugget here.
Since you mentioned it,
Jerry West is actually getting inducted to the Basketball Hall of Fame for a contributor to the game. And for most people that don't know who Jerry West is,
yeah, because I was going to say, who is he?
He was with the Showtime Lakers.
Okay.
And to put even more emphasis on it, when you see the NBA logo, that's him.
Oh, so he's the person on the logo.
Yeah, he's the logo.
Okay.
So,
kind of like when you see the Michael Jordan logo, that's Michael.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. So,
oh, God.
But yeah, just had to drop that little nugget out there real quick.
Okay. Congratulations on being inducted into the Hall of Fame.
And but which is amazing too, because I mean, some players they don't even get inducted to the Hall of Fame until after their death.
Now that's crazy. I'm glad y'all gave that man his flowers while he was still alive and kicking.
Yeah.
Or alive and rolling, or wherever he is right now.
So, yeah, congratulations, Jerry West. If you ever listen to this,
if you ever on the East, hit us up. It's the West.
But all right, so the Elite Eight.
Okay.
It got crazy too. Like,
Come on, crazy.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I love college basketball. Because
we are talking about men's right now.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, I'm just making sure.
Even the women's, it was.
I can't wait to hear about them. I can't wait to hear about them because they've been going to bat.
Yes. All right. So the Elite Eight on the men's. Saturday you had Illinois faces off UConn. Of course, UConn won. They were actually giving it a good game.
Okay.
And then UConn just kicked it into another gear and blew them out the water.
UConn's like, we need to smell that victory.
Yeah, like they're in it to win it. And if they do end up winning it, they can create history by being back-to-back champions.
I was about to say, didn't they win it like last
year?
Wow. Yeah. They was like, we need to taste it again. We ain't done.
So, and then Clemson lost to Alabama.
Oh, so Alabama took out North Carolina and then Clemson.
Yeah.
See, so those are the two to watch.
And then Purdue beat Tennessee, which I kind of expected it. Tennessee did put up a fight, but in the end, Purdue, they were better coached and just all around well played, all around well played. Yeah. So, and then North Carolina State beat Duke.
Come on, North Carolina State.
So,
at least one of the NCs is in there.
And they're the underdog. They're the Cinderella story this year.
Ooh.
Because they're number 11.
Oh, snap.
And so they did beat Oakland, and that beat us.
Honey.
So, and then they...
UK couldn't beat Oakland. I'm still furious about it. Yes, I am. And will be.
But they end up beating number 2 Marquette. So they're the Cinderella story.
Okay.
So, and then they end up beating Duke. So, hey, big ups to y'all. Like, keep beating those teams.
He wanted y'all to beat Duke real bad. He did not want to see Duke in the Final Four or in the top 2.
No. So now the Final Four that we got is number 11 North Carolina State.
Come on, NC
versus
State.
Purdue.
Versus Purdue.
Yeah.
I feel like North Carolina's gonna take
it. I don't know. That's gonna be a good match.
My prediction is NC State takes it.
See, and this is where I think the third journey is gonna end. Because I think Purdue's gonna win.
Okay, well, you want to put some money on it?
I probably would.
No. I'm good.
But, and then you got Alabama beating, or you got Alabama and UConn.
Ooh, whoa. Those are the two I seen going head to head.
So
it's either gonna be UConn and North Carolina, or UConn and Purdue, or Alabama and North Carolina, or Alabama and Purdue.
Yeah. Which,
oh my God!
I don't see Alabama making it past UConn.
And see, that's why I say UConn first.
Yeah, I don't,
because UConn, they've got to taste the blood in the water, and they cannot. They need to engulf it.
Yeah, they're tough to beat.
They smell the blood in the water.
They're a team on a mission.
Yeah,
and
they're like, we need that back-to-back victory.
And that's the way I see Purdue. So that's why I don't think. And then North Carolina State, like, they do pull off the win, but they're kind of shaky.
But they want it so bad. Like, they want it so bad.
Well,
that
the thing is, they're having fun. Like, DJ Barnes. He's a big dude down the paint for him.
My prediction is UConn and North Carolina State, because they're having fun and they are creating memories, and it's working out in their favor. And then UConn takes blood in the water, and they need that victory. So I feel like those two teams are the ones that's going to be the top 2.
Yeah, but at the same time, Purdue, they are just, I don't know. They're focused. Their legs are focused. They're kind of like UConn, in which if Purdue and UConn meet, that'd be 2 number 1s in the championship game, which we haven't seen in a long time.
I'm still predicting UConn and North Carolina State.
I'm just hoping Alabama don't get there. I'm sorry, Alabama. But y'all have football. Let somebody else have basketball.
So what's going on over into the women?
Oh, the women.
Or do you got more for the men?
No, that's it for the men.
Okay,
right
what's going on with the ladies?
So the ladies. So, all right.
Yeah. Hey, let me take a sip of my iced coffee.
So the match I wanted to see through the whole tournament and it was not a disappointment, was LSU versus Iowa.
Ooh.
And so you had Angel Reese versus Caitlin Clark. And for those who don't know, who don't follow it, last year in the championship game, after the game, Angel Reese basically chased down Caitlin Clark, tapped her on her shoulder, and then held up her hand and pointed to her ring finger.
Oh.
Like it was some trash talk, which, I mean, they did say there's no hasty feelings towards each other.
But my thing
is, it was just
ain't those the same teams that got into that little altercation?
No, the altercation was South Carolina, which we'll get into that.
Okay, because I'm like, hold on, Angel sounds familiar.
But, well, that's probably the reason why. But in the game, so it was a good game. You had Iowa beating LSU 87-94. So on the LSU side, you had Angel Reese and Flazé Johnson.
Come on, Flazé!
Which actually, she is an underground artist too, so she makes music.
Okay, Miss Flazé Johnson.
I heard it. I'm not really a fan, but
is it Ratchet Girl music?
I'm sure there's some people out there that like it.
Is it Ratchet Girl music?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to check it out.
But them together had about 40 points. Angel Reese had 20 rebounds.
Come on, rebound queen.
This is where Iowa gets them. Caitlin Clark by herself had 41 points.
Hold on, is Caitlin Clark the really tall one?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on South Carolina.
Okay.
She's a tall guard though.
Got you.
She's just the one scoring all the points. Like,
period.
I mean, there are some people that, there are people on her team. Let's not just single out other people, but their team wins championships. So, but Caitlin Clark did make history several times in that game. But the one that was in particular where she did tie the women's tournament record for 3 points. So she had 9 3-pointers in that game.
And that's Caitlin Clark. Congratulations, Miss Honey. You better get you some history, babe. They gonna put you in the history book.
Well, I mean, the one on the Big Three, like I said, Ice Cube did offer $5 million to come play. So,
we'll see.
That's gonna be more than what she's gonna make in the WNBA, but she's still gonna do good. So,
I mean, but will it be more than what she'll make?
Yeah,
do they not make as much as the men?
The top player of the WNBA makes about $274,000.
And the men be making like
$30 million a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's all because of TV deals and stuff like that, which the WNBA are getting ready to come up on a new TV deal. So
that's not right. That's a whole nother topic, though. We can go way deep.
Yeah.
But oh God.
Yeah. And that's why you get a lot of women that they'll do other things on the off season as far as go play overseas. And stuff like that.
I would too.
And that's how Brittany Griner got caught up in Russia.
Facts. With the vape.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so.
And she was over making bukus. I know she was.
Yeah.
I know she was.
So, yeah. And then, so the final 4 of the women's is going to be, hold on, North Carolina State.
Period. They better hit it too. Okay, NC State.
Versus South Carolina, which has the big girl, Camilla Cardosi.
Yeah, Camilla Cardosiana.
Yeah. And she's a beast too. So, I mean, she's 6'7", which that's big. That's a big old girl. I'm 6'2", so I'll be looking up at her.
Big girl. It's the big grind.
And then you have UConn facing Iowa.
These teams, UConn and North Carolina State on both sides.
I think this is the first time in a long time that men and women has had the same teams on women and men's in the Final Four.
I wonder if they got the women practicing with the men and the men practicing with the women on both of those teams. Y'all all gonna practice together. Y'all gonna run scrimmages against each other until both of y'all have the same type of energy.
Which, taking it back to the Elite Eight on the women's, I did forget to mention that UConn did beat USC 80-73, which I was kind of surprised by that because USC has Juju Washington.
Okay.
And she's I was kind of hoping.
She sounds like she's a beast.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping we get to see her and Caitlin Clark go at it because that's
go at it how, like boxing or on the court?
On the court.
Okay,
on the court.
because
they're both scorers like that. I mean, Juju Washington only had 29 points, but she's a pure scorer, so that would have been fun to watch. So
we got Juju, and then what was the other girl's name that starts with an F? Flazé Johnson. These names come out, Juju and Flazé. Period. I'm loving the name.
Yeah. So, So it's gonna get crazier and crazier, man.
I want to see Juju and Flazé go up against each other.
That would have been good too, because they're both scorers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And I just wanted to hear the announcers say their names constantly. I was like, you better get it, Juju. Her name is Flazé.
Yeah, it's definitely
the NCAA is shaking down to be something major.
I know, and
on both sides.
Yes, and it's the women's picking up tractions, which I'm glad because for people that don't really know, I mean, women, they have the best technique. Like some of them have better basketball IQ than men do. So,
well, I feel like women have to be more like versed in this particular field that they're in because they're not taking it seriously. So they make sure that they know everything there is to know about it. So if somebody tries to come for them, no, baby, I know exactly what I'm talking about, and I've got receipts. Well, I know what I'm supposed to study. I know what I'm supposed to learn. I know how I'm supposed to get there, and I'm going to do it.
Well, that and because I mean, it used to be you would think that the men had more physicality, but I mean,
oh no,
the women's been physical too.
Yeah.
So with the likes of Brittany Griner and then Camilla, she, they just they getting physical in there, and then
they say hormones too. We get testosterone in
when it gets down to it, it's more on the athleticism. Like you got the men who are dunking. They're jumping out of the building, dunking on people and stuff like that.
And then you got the women that want to start dunking too. So
yeah, but you just see them more of a shooter, but they're more better shooters. Even with the likes of Steph Curry, like it just.
And I think they're better, and it might not be completely all of that, but I think the women are better shooters because it was frowned upon for so long for them to dunk the ball.
And it was the same thing for men for a long time.
But then when men started doing it, they were like, oh, snap. But when women started doing it, they're like, that's too manly. So the women was like, well, let us become better at shooting.
Yeah.
As opposed to driving it to the rim. And they were like, you know what? I can go up against a man any day. See how many threes you gonna make as opposed to
me. Yeah, because I mean, they did have a woman and go against Steph Curry in the 3-point shooting contest at the All-Star Weekend. And honestly, I think it was. And the one thing that everybody was all worried about was she gonna use, because in the 3-point the 3-point in the WNBA is different from the men. It's closer.
Oh, so was she gonna use the women's NBA or the men's NBA as far as shooting?
And then the balls are different too. The women have a smaller ball.
Oh.
But she came out and said that she was gonna use the same ball from the same line.
Oh God.
So, and I mean, especially Caitlin Clark. I mean, people are saying now that on one side of the court the line was closer to the 3-point to the free throw. But I mean, when you're hitting pull up logo threes, that line doesn't really matter
at all. At all.
So.
And I feel like she was making them from like where the WNBA line is. She wasn't making them from the high school line.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Those logo threes,
I
mean, she was pulling up way before the line. Like,
it wouldn't have mattered if the line was right there or back here.
I just think it was something people were kind of judging her on because their team didn't win. So,
oh my gosh. So, D-Lo, what are your predictions for the men and the women when it comes down to the final two on each side?
So, like I said, I would like, because I'm always, when Kentucky gets beat out, I'm always a sucker for the Cinderella story. So I would like to see North Carolina State make it to the final game.
And who would they be going against in your predictions?
In my prediction, it's going to be UConn. Okay. No matter what, UConn's going to go into the finals.
That's what I would want to predict too. That's my prediction.
But I can't count out Purdue. They just, that game is gonna come down to who wants it more. Yeah. So, but I will put my prediction on UConn making it to the final.
Okay.
Now, on the women's,
y'all can see his face in his brain right now. He is thinking.
Yeah, because I mean,
he just scratched his forehead. And
the North Carolina State and South Carolina, it's the same thing. You don't know who's gonna show up more.
I think it's gonna be the same two teams on both sides.
Yeah. Well, no. I actually do think Iowa's gonna beat UConn.
Oh, on the women's side.
Yeah.
You think so?
Caitlin Clark, man, can't count her out. She's like Steph Curry. You just can't count them players out because they just, like I said, like they just go on. I
call her Miss Iowa.
She just goes on a run and then
because she is the team.
Yeah, so it's
Caitlin, girl, I love you. Period. And I'm from Kentucky.
So I will say the two teams that I see on the men's and women going for sure would be Iowa and UConn. So
UConn on the men's side, Iowa on the women's side.
Yeah.
Okay. And then your team's going up against them. You can't rule out Purdue or North Carolina State on the men's side, and on the women's side,
it's South Carolina and North Carolina State. So,
those are the two that you gotta.
Yeah.
Okay, so you do know for sure you feel like Iowa is going.
Yeah.
Because of Miss Iowa.
Yeah, she wants payback. Like where she didn't win it last year, so she's got like UConn and the men's, they're tasting that blood in the water. Yeah. They want that revenge.
They turn into sharks. Piranhas.
So, yeah, it's gonna be a good one, y'all. Stay tuned because I'm gonna keep y'all updated. We'll be watching.
And we'll be right back with our final segment where we dive into the P. Diddy case. See you soon. Welcome back, listeners. And now on to our final segment of the episode. We are going to talk about the P. Diddy case. For those of you all that don't know, P. Diddy is under investigation after some accusations made by his ex, Cassie, who allegedly accused him of abuse, being drugged by him, the R word.
Which Orlando Brown would call it hazing.
Not hazing. Oh my God.
We'll touch on that.
Oh my God. Come on, Orlando Brown. And other allegations who Diddy eventually paid off outside of court. There's also been other victims that allege P. Diddy of crimes, even including grooming minors. And some of these victims are even men. So last week, the feds raided two of P. Diddy's homes, one in Los Angeles and one in Miami. Homeland Security Investigations of New York executed a law enforcement action as a part of an ongoing investigation. Reports say these raids seem to be tied to trafficking or ST alleged allegations towards Diddy. And Diddy's sons, Justin and King, were in one of the homes that were being raided, and they were detained on the property while the raid was going on. Also, within the case, there is an investigation as far as trafficking parties that Diddy was having. So when we get down to it, some of the documents are mentioning a couple of famous names that you all may know. And some of the names are Stevie J, which is a music producer and a TV personality. Bishop T.D. Jakes, which a lot of people know who he is. He's a mogul as far as preaching the word of God. But a name that really like stuck out to me, and all of these names are names that are just mentioned in these documents. I don't know what capacity they're being mentioned in, if it's something involving them or just their names being brought up in a conversation or anything. It could be anything. I'm not accusing none of these individuals of any crime or anything to do with any of Diddy's alleged crimes, but these are just names that are mentioned. But the name that really stuck out to me that was mentioned was Prince Harry.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
His name was mentioned in one of the documents. But there was also a whole list of names that were mentioned. Those are the three that I really felt like stuck out to me. But the biggest one was Prince Harry. And I'm like, why was his name mentioned?
What happened there?
Like, did he show up at one of Diddy's parties or a couple of Diddy's parties? Or was Meghan Markle somebody he met at one of these parties? Because you know that when he came over to the United States, he was known for going down to Miami to have fun.
Yeah.
And to go to parties. And that's kind of how he met Meghan. So, like, then I'm kind of like, ooh, what's the tea? What is the true and entire tea? But these are just names that are mentioned in the document. I don't know what the capacity of these names are mentioned, but I'm going to do some deep diving. And I got all of my information from the TMZ website. So it's hit or miss with TMZ. Some things they be accurate on, but some things you got to fact check. So I just wanted to mention those things, but I also I'm going to go back and fact check, and we're going to bring out more on this case.
Yeah.
But what do you think about all these allegations towards Diddy?
I mean, it's hard to tell what that man has done.
You know,
I mean, and this is going to be an allegation on my part, in my opinion, but I honestly think that he may have something to do with Pac and Biggie.
Why didn't I know you was about to say that? Why did I know that was coming out of your mouth? As soon as I started talking about P. Diddy, I was like, watch him bring up Pac and Biggie.
Yeah.
Because that has been the thing that has weighed over that man's life for all these years. Everybody always felt like he had something to do with those, including me.
Yeah, I mean, it's just too much of a coincidence. Like, it just, like, first of all, you know, the whole thing with Bad Boy and Death Row.
Yeah.
And then you have
it was like he kept the beef going.
Yeah, and then he constantly was in the shadow of Biggie. So
yep.
After Biggie passed,
he kind of blew up.
He blew up, and I mean, it just, like, how many other people just would do that? Like,
see, my thing with Diddy is, so your ex accuses you of all of these things that you did to her, and instead of fighting it in court, you settle for a big number. I'm talking about in the millions.
Yeah.
You settle, and that's known. So whether these other victims, these other alleged victims, let me quote and unquote, these other alleged victims are true or not, we at least know that her account is true.
Well, apparently, I actually seen something the other day that said Mace might be one.
And you know, he did kind of like just out of nowhere not mess with Diddy anymore and turn his life over to Christ. Like, because didn't he go to like being like a music minister or something like that? Yeah. Or being in the church real heavy? Yeah. Which I don't think he was never not in the church. I just think that he kind of put that on the back burner when he was with Diddy, but it was very abrupt how he kind of like split from Diddy and went his own direction. Yeah. But my whole thing is, there's other people that are being accused as far as in social media as somebody that Diddy might have groomed, as far as Justin Bieber, Usher. Yep. Why I say Usher? It's Usher. Usher, baby. And there was somebody else. That came forward. Somebody in social media that was like an influencer in social media on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, or something like that, had went to one of Diddy's parties and said that Diddy bent him over the bed outside, which I was kind of like, these are juicy allegations. But I'm gonna let y'all know who that was because his face comes in mind. Like I can see him as clear as day, but I could not think of his name. But
it kind of reminds me of like you remember the stand up Cat Williams did a while back. It was like one of his first stand ups that he did that got really big, where he was sitting there talking about going through seeing something at the Hollywood parties and stuff that you don't want to or something, and you just kind of just stand there and like, no. Like, yeah, like it's kind of like it's almost something that's been kind of put out there for a while. Just nobody knew it was Diddy.
Yeah, and nobody knew to take it as serious as they should have. But also, some accusations are that there was an instance where Diddy was having a party and he was being abusive to Cassie, and Beyonce and Jay-Z were at this party, and Beyonce pulled Cassie away from the situation, and Jay-Z interfered with Diddy and kind of distracted Diddy, and they got Cassie away from that situation, but she was still at the party, still in the house or whatever, and Beyonce wouldn't leave until Cassie was taken care of.
Yeah.
So I don't know if these accusations are true or false, or if they had anything to do with it, but a lot of people are accusing Jay-Z of being the same thing as Diddy, but just smarter and like actually knowing how to cover his tracks. Yeah. So we don't know. There's so much that's going to unfold. I know there is. As far as the raids, so they did the raids. They said that several boxes was taken out of each resident. Also, they are starting to track and go back into the logs to see all of the different trips that were taken on Diddy's private jets. So to see where he was going, where he was coming from, the flight manifest, to see who were on board, what individuals were on board, to see if there is actual weight to these accusations or allegations of ST.
Well, it's like Orlando Brown. He was one of them. He claims he was one of them.
Orlando Brown claims a lot of things.
He does. And when the hazing thing that I said earlier, he was actually did an interview. I watched the whole hour and 15-minute interview.
Oh my God.
And I almost feel like I was dumber after that. I want to say
you probably lost a few brain cells.
But he made a lot of claims in that one.
But with him,
but he did say that because he even did talk about Diddy, and that's what he said was he was like, you know, he wouldn't even say the R word. He would say hazing, and it just was like, that's not hazing. Like, yeah. Like, I don't know why you classify
like it's just initiation into the hip hop industry or something. Like, I don't get it.
Well, I mean, he was making claims on Illuminati, but I just.
But and I will say this, like, the man is clearly got screws loose in his head. But if you really decipher some of the things he's saying, some of the things he say actually make sense. Yeah. But you got to pick and choose what you hear.
Oh yeah, because I mean, in the same interview, in about 15 to 20 minutes into the interview, he done made claims that he was Jesus Christ and that he just left the studio with the Beatles. So I'm just saying.
Oh God. Yeah, so maybe you can't listen to a word he says. Just it's a comedy hour when it comes to Orlando.
And then he was looking at people like he was dropping knowledge. So
hey, in his mind, that is knowledge to be dropped.
I mean, and that's probably what is probably. I mean, he was probably actually saying some real shit.
But you can't take it seriously because of all the other things he said.
But it just.
But it's like, did the industry do this to him to make him? Did the industry make him crazy to where like the facts that he's spitting are overshadowed by the craziness that he spews?
Yeah. Like, and I mean, he did say that Raven Simone was Blueface.
Oh my God. Because there was a boxer, Ryan something, that made allegations that Hollywood was having these like parties where they were burning this big thing and praising all this stuff, and then he comes back and says, yeah, none of that was true. But he looks like pale, like he was forced to say that none of it was true. So it kind of makes you think about like what is really going on. And they were saying that P. Diddy is like Epstein.
But if you listen to somebody like KRS-One, like he's heavily influenced by masonry, and like he knows like a lot about it, and even he said that the people that are claiming to be the Illuminati isn't Illuminati, because Illuminati is the enlightened ones.
Those are just the decoys.
Yeah, so they're gonna sit there and say that they're the Illuminati, but they have no idea about what it actually is. So the people that are making the actual moves they're not going to sit there and say that they're making the moves. They're going to just do it and be in secrecy about it.
Right.
You know.
But a lot of these, I feel like a lot of the people that do come forward are trying to be whistleblowers towards like what they've seen, or because that Ryan guy that I was talking about this in boxing, he said that he was the R word in these, and he saw children being mishandled or abused, or the R word, or
now it could be as you would say false prophets, that they are gatekeepers, but they're not the actual Illuminati. They're just pretending to be the Illuminati.
Well, he wasn't saying that he
was. I'm just saying like they could be just like the gatekeepers of the industry,
right?
That they're like, oh, do this and you'll be
rewarded. Like this.
Yeah, so it could just be their way of saying like, hey, we're the Illuminati. But
would you sell your soul for something?
No.
And when I say sell your soul, I don't mean like literally sell your soul, but like pretty much sell your freedom. Like once you do this, you will be controlled or under contract forever, or for a really long time.
Well, I mean, it depends on what they're talking about freedom, because I mean,
what if it's to the industry? Like if it's something that like you have to give up family time, you have to give up like something that you enjoy doing in order to be able to be super successful with one thing, and you get the fame and the glory from it.
Well, and see, that's a hard thing, because I mean, as far as family time, no, because I'm very
family oriented,
and that
because you got to go and do things today with family.
Yeah,
go watch the Masked Singer.
So I don't know. It depends on the price, but it also depends on the reward. Like as far as like, as you would say, going to the crossroads and selling my soul. No, because that's not gonna happen. Like
my thing is, it's not your soul to sell.
Yeah.
Period. I mean, like, yeah, you're living this life, but this soul is not yours.
Yeah.
I would give up a lot of things in order to have what I want, as long as it's something that's beneficial to the people I love as well.
Yeah.
Like if I had to sacrifice, if I had to like travel to another state or another country to achieve the goals that I wanted to achieve, but I'm able to talk to my family, I'm able to bring my family to see me, I'm able to still be able to like be a part of my family's life.
That's what I was saying, the price.
Like, yeah. Like what is the price? Like do I have to completely shun everybody out of my life? Because those people that have me from the ground up are still gonna be there from the ground up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like they might not be able to experience everything that I'm experiencing, but they're gonna reap some rewards of what I'm experiencing, because they were the people that helped me stay sane and help me see that my true ability.
Yeah.
And my true like calling.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like it all depends on the price, and it all depends on what they want me to do. Because I mean, there's just some things I'm just not doing. Like we ain't doing no sex parties and that.
Yeah, the reason that I asked like if you would sell yourself for fame, fortune, and whatever is because I think that Diddy did that when he got into the industry. Whoever was his look up to person was the person that was like, yo, if you do this, I'm gonna teach you how to do this. You can never say anything. You can never go back on it. This is what you have to do for life. And if if anything ever happens to where it comes down to the fact of you getting caught up in it, you're gonna have to deny. And if you get caught up, you're just gonna have to live with it.
And though, instead we come back to the whole Biggie, because Biggie was his sacrifice.
Facts. Biggie was his sacrifice, but his sacrifice through Biggie was Tupac. He had to cause that beef in order to become successful. He had to make sure that somebody failed, which two people failed, but he had to make sure that somebody failed for him to rise to the occasion of where he is now. Yep. And now that he's there, a lot of stars are going to start falling, because when Diddy comes down, anybody that was associated with Diddy in that light is coming down with him. So y'all stay tuned. There is so much to dig into with this, and there's going to be so much that comes out, and we're going to keep y'all posted. We already know about Miss Kate, so that segment has kind of died off. If we hear anything else about that, get updates about that, we will let y'all know what Princess Kate is going through. But this is one of the topics that are going to be recurring on the podcast. And another thing is the whole elections thing with Trump and his court cases and election drama, controversy, conspiracies, and everything else. So
start the conversation with us.
Yeah, join the conversation. Let us know what y'all think. We are on YouTube and Spotify, so make sure y'all check us out. Make sure y'all give us a thumbs up. Make sure y'all subscribe and leave us feedback. We want to hear what y'all think. If y'all know topics that we haven't talked about that you want to hear or know more about, let us know in the comments. We will definitely do our digging and come to you live on what the story is and what's unfolding. So without further ado, that concludes this episode of the Mike Podcast. That's Mix in Chat. I'm your boy Javi, here with my boy D-Lo.
Yes, sir.
And we are out.
Peace.